Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are first-time viewers, I'm Cynthia the Spiritualist who works at the in-depth level of the soul. I work on all aspects of spirituality and soul development. This includes shadow work, looking at the sides of ourselves that are unpleasant, that are keeping us in that frame of mind known as victimhood, that causes us to repeat the same circumstances over and over again with the same types of individuals, where we actually sabotage ourselves on every level. I also talk about life after death, as I have personally experienced that, and twin flame journey and soul development, as I have personally experienced that as well. And to all of you who are regular subscribers, thank you for sticking with me through this 3.5-month absence, which is what I'm going to talk to you all about today, as this is a personal vlog. It's time for me to share some things with you that I haven't felt comfortable with, that I have shared in the past when this channel had over 250 videos, that I deleted because after 6 years at the time of doing YouTube, there wasn't an interest in what I had to say, because I was covering some very dark subject matter regarding the health care situation in the United States of America. But given the circumstances of this country and my own personal experience and the soul work that I do, I wouldn't be truly fulfilling the path that I came here to follow if I wasn't 100% upfront with you. So here goes. The reason I was gone, the amount of time I was, is because I had serious surgery as I was going into the death process. For those of you who don't know my background, I am a stage 3 cancer survivor. I had a late diagnosis because I couldn't get the health care that I needed to have. And I spent over a year trying to get a diagnosis, going from doctor to doctor as my cancer metastasized. From there, I had extensive surgery that put me in the hospital for 1 month. The type of cancer I had was head and neck, not in the throat, but in the neck. It was squamous cell carcinoma. And I had 2 tumors, one the size of an egg on my neck, and one the size of a walnut on my tongue. A shelled walnut, but a walnut nonetheless. I was on life support. I was in a coma. I came out of it. I have lost one half of my tongue, a chain of lymph nodes in my neck. This is the scar. And also the surrounding tissue in my neck. So it's kind of hard to tell on the video, but I dip in there. And this was followed with intense radiation therapy that was administered through my jaw and on my neck. Now, when I had the surgery, the margins were clean, 100%. But they had me take the radiation as a precautionary measure so that the cancer would not return. And I immediately began to have horrible side effects from this. And my mouth on the inside, I lost all of the skin, all of the tissue. I lost my ability to taste. I developed a yeast infection that would never go away. I had oral mucosa, which is excessive saliva production, but then I would wake up in the middle of the night with cotton mouth to where it was so dry I had to just pour the water down. And several years after the radiation, things became even worse. And dentally, I was in a lot of pain. I was suffering all of the time. And I went from dentist to dentist, and every single one of them said the same thing. You have to have more treatment than the average person to save your life, because oral infections can go to the brain and kill you. So we have to make sure your mouth is infection-free and clean, and now you're prone to cavities, so you're going to have to get them filled on a regular basis. You're going to have to get crowns. And all this was for a hefty price tag of close to $30,000 at that time. And I didn't have that kind of money, because the kind of cancer that I had, parts of it were not covered by medical insurance, even though they were supposed to have been, because it's a medical condition. But how they got out of it, they said dental care is separate from medical care. So there is nothing we can do. We're not going to pay for it. And I would argue the fact over and over, but I had radiation administered to me in very high doses. The radiation is what has caused this. And nothing. I mean, it was like trying to get through a brick wall. So I finally found a doctor, dentist actually, that would take me as a patient. He was very honest with me. And he said, Cynthia, he said, you are beyond me. You're beyond my training. There really isn't anything I can do for you except to monitor you, because you have osteoradionecrosis, bone death of the jaw. And he said, at one point, you will lose your jaw. I can't even begin to tell you how I felt, because outside of this dentist, I had no doctor, no specialist, not even an oncologist, because the HMO had gotten rid of that as well and had denied me all post-cancer care. So everything was going to come out of pocket from that point on. And it had been anyway. So things continued to get worse. And he continued to monitor me and continued to drill when it was necessary to drill. And I thought one day while I was laying in the dental chair as my teeth were being ground on, what happens if there is nothing left to grind down? What am I going to do then? And it was, well, Cynthia, we're just going to have to take it as it comes and cross one bridge at a time. So speed ahead to 2015, because mind you, I've been dealing with this for over 2 decades now. And I start having dizzy spells. I start having more sickness, more aches and pains, and really having trouble functioning. So I go to my doctor at the time, who did not like women, period, and he did not like the fact that I was already in my 50s, so he didn't want anything to do with me. And when I told him what I was going through, how much I was suffering, that I knew something was wrong, I needed to have an MRI to see how this has progressed. Nothing, no interest. He looked right at me and grinned, and he said, you're older. He said, you're just going to have to deal with it and take things as they come. Well, I refused to do that. And on the way home, I cried. And I got the information to go above and beyond him. And I contacted a university hospital. And hospital administrations put me into craniofacial. And this wonderful woman on the other end listened for the first time in years. Someone actually was listening to what I had to say. And she said, I deal with this all of the time. And she said, it sounds like you need surgery to correct these problems, but keep in mind that it's going to take you a number of years, because this kind of reconstruction that you need involves blood vessels. It involves the bone marrow. It involves everything a doctor has to do to work with that necrosis of the bone, because you have dying bone. So you could have dying tissue on your face and neck if you don't have a doctor that is highly skilled in this. So she told me to give her a day to get back with me, but she would definitely do it. And she did. And I ended up with a wonderful doctor. I went above and beyond the doctor that I had. I complained, and I got him off of my health care all the way, and was assigned another doctor. And I ended up having a surgery to correct the blood vessels that had been shrinking due to the radiation, which were causing me the problem. And had that not been addressed, I was likely a candidate to have a brain aneurysm and go out that way. But when I came out of the surgery, the doctor told me there was a lot of reconstruction that needed to be done. And what he did was not going to give me these instantaneous results of putting me all the way back together because of the tissue I had lost. And that was regarding my facial disfigurement, because I was left very disfigured from the loss of tissue and the fact that the bone was deteriorating in my jaw. So, as time passed, I continued to fight for the health care I needed to have, all to no avail, because insurance considered everything that I was going through as a cosmetic issue, even though a specialist and several radiologists had documented the deformity in my jaw and mouth due to the radiation and what all of the problems were. Still, I could not get through the next hurdle. So what did I do? Well, I kept going with everything because my mother didn't have that much longer to live. I didn't want her in the nursing home. So I pulled myself up out of it, and I continued to give her the best care that I could. And I did what I could for myself, health-wise, to keep it together, which wasn't beyond the bare bone basics due to my financial situation. So really all I could do was watch my diet, exercise, but even that I couldn't overdo because it was an energetic issue, because I had been traumatized in the head. And so all of that affected how much energy I had and how long I could do things. So I continue on the route that I was and speed ahead to 20 18, my mother passes on. My health continues to spiral down. And I'm I'm teaching other women how to keep it together with their body, with their mind. Very small group of women, mind you, but enough to get the point across and help. And took a look around me, and I thought, this is crazy making. And at the time I was writing, and I ended up finishing my book, my first women's book, which was Spiritually Single in Sickness and Health, A Woman's Guide to Healing at a Soul Level. And I had written a children's book before that, so I kept my goals intact and my visions clear of what I wanted to accomplish. But it was getting worse, even though on the outside nobody could see that. But on the inside, it was a mess. Every time I opened up my mouth, it was a major war zone. So I began to connect with my childhood doctor who had attended my mother's memorial service. And he had told me early on when we were in contact, he said, Cynthia, he said, this is malpractice. You have been through medical malpractice. You have not been looked after. And he said, someone is at fault for allowing you to fall through the cracks and turning you out. So he told me to contact his son, who had taken over his practice. And I went to his son, and he said, Cynthia, he said, I can help you, but it's only going to be a Band-Aid, because whatever I do for you won't last beyond 2 years. It won't. There's no way. He said, you need to have a complete oral extraction. All your teeth need to go, because this is so far gone. I believed him. I could see my jaw on the screen, and it was actually horrifying. It was like something out of a documentary with people who had severe radiation damage back in the decades, where they were touting radiation-activated creams and beauty treatments and paints that would make things glow in the dark. And women would soften the brushes with these irritated, the brushes had been irritated, and then they ended up getting osteoradionecrosis and losing their jaws because of it. And so I already knew, what the outcome was going to be. And I said, okay, go for it. I said, and I'll try to do everything I can to continue to try to get the help I need. And he said, well, I'll help too. I'll call my colleagues. Well, none of his colleagues wanted to touch me. There was nothing they could do. I was so far gone and such a high risk at that time. I was considered a huge liability. There was no way. But he said, I can write you a letter and suggest where you go to get the help that you need to have. So I went through his treatments. I felt really good until about 2022, because at that time it was 2020. And I was honest with my new doctor. I was just getting to know. And she's a bone specialist and was absolutely mortified. And she said, hang with me, Cynthia. She said, we're going to get you the help you need, and you're going to make it through this. You will. And it was a battle for me to get what I needed. And it was a battle that lasted until August of 2024. And by the time, that was my surgery, was the first part of August, but I didn't get into the specialist until the fall of 2023, I'm sorry. And from that point on, I had an incredible team of doctors that were mortified at what had happened to me. And they fought tooth and nail. And I had my surgery on August 5th. I had all of my teeth extracted. And I lost a lot of bone with it, because by the time everything went through with insurance, of course everything was further along, and the infection was going throughout my entire body. It was just going everywhere. My kidneys were fighting it off. And I was up all night long, every 10 minutes, going to the bathroom. No sleep at night. I had aching from my shoulders down. I had a cough that wouldn't go away, along with a sore throat. And my teeth were falling out anyway at that point. I would be eating. I was having a lot of trouble with digestion because I couldn't chew properly. And so even if I ate a piece of bread, a tooth would just fall out, And I was in a very bad position. And there's a lot more to this story. I mean, I wrote a book on this. It's rather lengthy. It's about 400 pages long. And I've decided not to publish it yet because I completed it. I put the copyright on it. It's all edited. Everything's done. But I just didn't want to deal with anything other than my health, because I'm still going through a lot. And To be honest with you, we don't know how far the damage has gone. So I just see a gastrointernist. I have a lot more to go through. But the good thing is that the infection did not go to my brain, and it did not kill me. And I'm here. So, needless to say, I'm going to be, along with more information on twin flames and soul work and soul healing, I'm going to be incorporating the medical and things that are happening in this country to give you valuable information so that you don't take yourself out of the body ahead of time because you are either afraid to find out what is wrong with you, or you are in a state of depression that has gone so far because you can't get the help that you need, because it seems like a maze, that to know there is always hope and there are ways around these obstacles. But that you cannot succumb to the raging medical ignorance that is so common in this country because Americans, the majority, I would say, have been medically neglected and refused the care they need to have. Is it easy to be your own health care advocate? I would say no, it's not, because I have been my own health care advocate for over 20 years. Would it be easier to give up and go to the other side? Heck no. Because what would be the point of all of this journey that you have gone through so far on this earth plane when you and I both know we're here to learn, we're here to grow? And I don't believe in giving up and saying, oh, it's so much better on the other side. I just don't want to deal with it here anymore. I want to give up, because from what I know, from what I've experienced of actually being on the other side, that if you're not finished and you do by some fluky thing go on, you will indeed be shown just how you could have overcome it by changing the way that you think and overcoming that feeling of victimhood and that you have no power. But I'm going to tell you this. When I was getting ready to go under the knife on August 5th, my doctor came into the room before they wheeled me into the OR. And he said, Cynthia, are you aware of the risks of this surgery? And I said, yes, I am. I said, because I know what the alternative is. There wasn't. Okay, had I not had this surgery, I would probably be in hospice now or already gone. And he looked at me and he said, "Can I pray?" And in the name of Jesus, he prayed over me, laid his hands on me. I could feel the energy. All the nurses involved were there with their heads bowed, their hands on me. And all glory, all power, all praise be to God. And to this day, when I see this surgeon, because he is a colleague of all my other doctors, I always thank him, and he always points his finger upwards. And he said, "Not me, Cynthia, not me. All the glory and all the power to God." And this is what it's going to take to get through all of this. Because there are thousands of people with stories of medical neglect, malpractice. Many have already gone on. But those of you who have a voice, if you are dealing with a health condition, can indeed make your connection, if you haven't already, with the God Almighty, Creator over all, and ask for guidance, and you will be shown. I came out of that surgery. I've lost part of my jaw because I've lost a lot of bone in it. I don't really want to move this mic because I'll screw things up, but without my dentures in, I look a lot different because my dentures are pushing my face out and giving it more of a line. When I don't have my dentures in, my face is like, there's just hardly anything there. It's just hanging. So I've been working through also, what many people go through when they have had head and neck cancer is coping with really severe facial disfigurement. And so this is a work in progress. This is only my first set of teeth. There will be another way down the line after things are completed. I think I'm doing pretty good with them in comparison to the first day, because I could barely talk the first day. And on the bottom teeth, it's harder because they had a lot less to work with. And so I'm only good for one meal. And before they become loose, and I have to just take them out and clean them. But I don't have the bite force to bite into sandwiches or, thick breads or cookies, which is really not been very easy for me, but I find a way to eat them anyway because I dip them in milk. So I still get my chocolate chip cookies, thank God, because, I am a fiend when it comes to that. But, heavy-duty meals that take a lot of chewing, I just can't do. Fortunately, I'm a vegan now, so that does make life easier because the foods are soft and they're delicious. So I'm doing very well diet-wise. So let me know what you think in the comments about everything, and ask me what topics that you would like for me to cover. Dentures are a challenge, but I can tell you this, from where I was before, I am so much happier because I was rotting from the inside. And I was sick for many, many years. So, when you think of having to lose your teeth, it's like, oh my God. Everyone talks to you how important it is to save your teeth. But you know something? When something is beyond being fixed, you have to mourn the loss, and you have to let go of it, and you have to allow yourself, even if you are not sure of how it's going to turn out, you have to allow yourself that faith and that trust in God, that you will be guided every step of the way, which I have been. And now I am a veteran at it. Taking my dentures out, cleaning them, maintaining them, eating in them. I know exactly what to do with myself and how to handle the situation. And I'm beginning to speak better. I realize I still have a lisp. That probably will not go away for a long time, if ever, according to, the next plan. But I work on it every day. When I got my dentures, I started to read out loud, and I would do this until I was just exhausted, because I was bound and determined to get back on here and start working with you guys again. Anyway, I have said enough right now. I will be covering more information on the dental aspect of things, even if you don't have oral cancer, the importance of getting your mouth healthy, because when you lose your teeth and you get dentures, your mouth is healthy. You still have to go to the dentist. You still have to get alignments. You still have to keep yourself really clean and go through the stages, but there is nothing like the feeling of being ready to face the day, because you know your body is physically getting healthier and you are confident enough to smile again, because I wasn't for so many years. So anyway, I wish you all tons of love and many blessings as we go into this beautiful season of Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's going to be so beautiful. And I'm just sending you all so much love and deep gratitude, really, for sticking by me through all of this. Because slowly but surely this channel is growing. I've had a lot of heartbreak with it. I've had a lot of harassment. When I talked about health before, I was severely censored. And I've had a lot of negativity thrown at me. So I have to tell you, you mean a lot to me. You mean the world to me. And God bless you with all of the love of my heart. I'll see you real soon.